They say betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from family. I used to think I had it all. Success, love, control, a perfect life built on steel and ambition high above the skyline of Manhattan. But in just one night, everything shattered. My fiancé married my sister. My wedding dress, my venue, my future, stolen. And while they toasted their victory, they had no idea what I already owned. The very company they thought they'd built together. This isn't a sob story, it's a reckoning. And I'm not here to cry, I'm here to take everything back. Welcome to my story. Morning light spilled across the glass skyline of Manhattan as the camera soared above the city, finally descending upon a sleek Tribeca loft. Inside, Charlie Reid stood on the balcony, coffee in hand, her tailored navy suit crisp against the golden dawn. She gazed out at the concrete empire she had helped shape, calm, controlled, flawless. Her voice echoed over the imagery, soft yet certain. My name is Charlotte Reid. Most people call me Charlie. At 32, I had everything: power, prestige, and a man the whole city envied. The next scene brought the glamour. Inside the grand ballroom of the Plaza Hotel, a charity gala glittered with old money and bold ambition. Ethan Calloway, Charlie's fiancé and CEO of Apex Capital, delivered a rousing speech before handing the mic to her. She stepped forward, effortlessly confident, and spoke about breaking ceilings in real estate as a woman. Cameras flashed. Applause rang. Ethan pulled her close and whispered, "I have a surprise for you after the wedding." She smiled, leaned into him. "As long as you're there, that's enough." Back at home, Charlie stood in front of a full-length mirror, slipping into a custom Vera Wang gown, a perfect fusion of grace and strength. She confirmed final details with her wedding planner: flowers, menu, the venue at Hampton's Villa. Everything was in motion. Everything but Ethan, who had missed another fitting, tied up with urgent matters at the firm. She brushed it off. He was building an empire too. Late that night, Charlie sat in her home office, closing out emails when her phone buzzed. Avery. Her younger sister never called at this hour. She answered to sobs. "You need to come home, Charlie. It's Grandpa. He's in the ICU. They don't think he'll make it through the night." Charlie's world tilted, her breath hitched. "I'll book the next flight. Stay with him. Don't hang up." She ended the call, shut her laptop, and threw clothes into a suitcase, her hands trembling. In less than an hour, she was out the door, leaving her curated world behind, unaware that the storm had already begun. The taxi screeched to a stop outside Mount Auburn Hospital in Charleston. Charlie rushed inside, dragging her luggage behind her. The sterile white corridors, the fluorescent lighting, the chemical scent, all screamed emergency. She reached the reception, breathless. "Walter Reid Sr., ICU, I'm his granddaughter." The nurse scanned her chart. "I'm sorry, Mom, there's no one by that name admitted today." Charlie froze. There must be a mistake. He was brought in this morning. I flew in from New York. The nurse gave her a tight-lipped look. "You're sure this is the right hospital?" Confused and panicked, Charlie turned away, pulling out her phone to call Avery again. Voicemail. Again. Something was wrong. Nothing made sense. 30 minutes later, Charlie stood before the old family home. The porch creaked under her heels. She pushed open the front door, and there he was. Her grandfather, Walter Reid Sr., standing in the kitchen, pouring coffee like any other morning. "Charlie," he said, smiling, "what a surprise. You didn't tell me you were coming." Charlie blinked, stunned. "You're not sick? Not in the hospital?" Walter laughed. "Hospital? Haven't even had a cold this year. Just got back from golf." Shock began to morph into dread. Charlie excused herself, stepping onto the porch. She called Avery again, no answer. The air felt heavier now, and her fingers trembled around the phone. She sat down on the steps, trying to make sense of it all. The stillness around her was deafening. Something inside her shifted. Driven by instinct, she opened Instagram. Her feed loaded slowly, until it hit her like a truck. A photo. Avery in Charlie's wedding dress. Ethan beaming, holding her hand. The caption read, "Sometimes love can't wait, the Calloways." Charlie's face drained of color, her breath caught in her throat. She stood in stunned silence, then hurled her phone to the floor, the screen cracking with a sickening sound. Her lips tightened, the betrayal burned deeper than anything she'd ever known. The storm hadn't begun in New York, it had started here. Charlie stepped into her Tribeca loft, the once welcoming space now heavy with silence. The lights flickered on with a sterile chill, casting long shadows across the hardwood floor. She walked straight to the closet, opened the door, and stared at the wedding gown, still hanging, untouched, immaculate. She stood there in stillness, no tears, just silence. The weight of betrayal pressed on her chest like a stone, but she wouldn't break. Not yet. Her phone buzzed. A single notification flashed on the screen. Charlie, the deal is complete. You now own 55% of Apex Capital, Mo. She read it again and again. The sorrow in her eyes shifted, first to confusion, then to focus. Her breath steadied, her hands stopped trembling. Something cold and sharp sparked inside her. Flashbacks cut in like shards of memory. Meetings with Miles Lancaster, silent deals, private contracts. She had orchestrated it all months ago, quietly acquiring shares from secondary investors under the radar. "I don't want him to know yet," she had told Miles. "After the honeymoon, I'll surprise him then." The plan was once built from love, now it was repurposed for vengeance. She grabbed her coat, her keys, and left. Cut to her knocking on the office door of Harper Morgan, a sharp, intuitive, investigative journalist. "I need your help," she said. Harper, eyes narrowing with concern, invited her in. Moments later, Julian Cross joined them, a financial analyst with a mind built for unraveling chaos. They sat beneath a harsh overhead light, papers and screens scattered before them. Charlie didn't blink as she pointed to a spreadsheet. "They think they blindsided me, but they just handed me the blade." The room grew still as the three leaned into a glowing screen. A digital spiderweb of Apex Capital unfolded. Ownership structures, shell companies, transfers. At the center, Ethan Callaway and Avery Reid. The silence was electric, charged with the pulse of strategy and the scent of justice. The camera pulled back slowly, music rising in intensity. Charlie didn't speak again. She didn't need to. The war had officially begun. And it wasn't about love anymore, it was about power, and she was reclaiming it one calculated move at a time. Under the cool fluorescent lights of Harper's Brooklyn office, the tension was surgical. Julian Cross sat with his sleeves rolled, fingers flying across the keyboard as streams of financial data poured across the screen. Harper scribbled notes beside him, while Charlie sat back in her chair, arms folded, unreadable. The air was thick with purpose. Julian spoke first. "Brilliance Ventures, Delaware-based shell company, funds leaking every quarter. It's laundering, no question." Harper leaned forward. "Guess who's the secondary account signatory?" "Avery Reid." Charlie's expression didn't shift. Her voice was steady, emotionless. "Set the board meeting. I want everyone in that room within 48 hours. The next scene swept through Harper's world. Microphone clipped, camera slung over her shoulder, she became the storm. Interviews with disgruntled former employees, audio recordings of whispered threats, photos of phony contracts. Harper wasn't just a journalist, she was a one-woman truth bomb. One moment, she stared directly into the lens. "Queen Charlotte's coming for your crown, Ethan." Skyline Boardroom, Apex Tower, 63rd floor. The glass walls shimmered in the city light as the board members assembled, unaware they were about to witness the unraveling of a king. Charlie entered in a tailored black suit. Her heels struck the marble with finality. Ethan froze when he saw her. Avery, seated near the back, couldn't meet her gaze. Charlie's presentation was methodical, merciless. Every click revealed deeper corruption. Wire transfers, forged signatures, internal memos. The board was stunned into silence. No one moved. Then came the final blow. Gerald Callaway, Ethan's father, slowly stood. His voice cracked. "Ethan, you're not the man I once admired. Step down." Ethan erupted. "This is a setup. She's manipulating you all." Charlie's gaze never wavered. No, I'm the majority shareholder, and today I'm taking back what's mine. Security entered. Ethan resisted but was escorted out. Avery lowered her head in shame. Music surged as the board turned to Charlie, hands raised, one by one. She was voted interim CEO. She looked around the room, chin high. The Apex rebuild begins now. The screen faded to black as her words echoed into silence. The Penny Lantern Cafe in Charleston was quiet that afternoon, cloaked in the kind of hush only guilt could summon. Charlie sat by the window, hands wrapped around a lukewarm cup of coffee, watching the rain bead down the glass. When Avery walked in, she looked like a shadow of herself. Eyes hollow, hair unbrushed, wearing a coat a size too big, as if she'd shrunk inside it. Avery approached hesitantly, her voice barely above a whisper. I know I don't deserve to face you, but I have nowhere else to go. Charlie didn't meet her eyes. I came to listen, not to comfort. There was a long pause before Avery spoke again. She confessed in fragments, eyes darting everywhere but at her sister. Ethan had lured her in. At first it felt like a harmless thrill, stepping into Charlie's spotlight, even for a moment. Then came the promises, a better life, a clean slate, and she fell for all of it. I kept going even when I knew I should have stopped, she admitted, voice cracking. I thought I could get away with it. Charlie's tone was measured, cold but calm. You didn't ruin my wedding, Avery. You ruined my name, my dignity, yours too. Avery dropped to her knees. I'll do anything to make it right. Charlie finally looked at her. Then speak, tell the truth, no half measures, no excuses. Later, in Harper's Brooklyn apartment, the camera rolled. Avery sat before it, unflinching this time. She confessed everything. How she betrayed her sister, and how she knowingly helped Ethan conceal money through Apex's fake ventures. The footage went viral within hours. Headlines exploded. Public sympathy surged for Charlie, while Ethan was slapped with federal charges. Major investors abandoned him overnight. A few days later, Charlie returned to the Penny Lantern. Tucked into the table where Avery had sat was a letter. I'm leaving the city. I need to rebuild, this time on my own terms. I'm sorry. Charlie read it silently. She didn't cry, but something in her eyes softened, like a window cracking open after a storm. Forgiveness hadn't arrived, but healing had begun. Apex Tower gleamed under the late morning sun as the new board assembled. Charlie stood at the head of the executive conference table, this time not as an outsider, not as a woman wronged, but as the one in charge. Her voice was steady, her posture unshakable. Apex Capital is no longer about a man's legacy, she said. It's about integrity, transparency, and what's possible when we stop hiding behind power and start leading with purpose. The board members nodded, some with admiration, some with awe. Across town, Harper sat alone in her apartment, writing late into the night. Her fingers danced across the keyboard. The headline appeared, Queen of the Fall and Rise. A moment later, she printed it, pinned it to her wall, a symbol, a declaration. Charlie's transformation had become something bigger than revenge. It was a movement. Back at Apex, Walter Reid Sr. arrived at her office unannounced, carrying a small envelope. From your father, he said gently. Inside, a handwritten note. A strong woman isn't one who never falls, it's the one who rises again by her own strength. That evening, the sky above Manhattan turned molten gold. On the sky lounge of Apex Tower, Charlie stood alone, glass of red wine in hand. The city pulsed beneath her, endless and alive. The camera circled from behind to her face, calm, composed, quietly victorious. Her voice closed the story like a whisper on the wind. No one is born betrayed, but we all choose how to come back. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't destruction, it's rebuilding. Life has a way of breaking us in places we never expected, but it also offers us the chance to rise stronger and sharper than before. Forgiveness doesn't always come. Closure doesn't always look the way we imagined, but growth? That's a choice we make moment by moment. Thank you for joining this journey, one of betrayal, resilience, and quiet power. If this story moved you, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow the channel for more powerful tales just like this one. Your voice matters here.